challenge I would mention over my career is this may be helpful for entrepreneurs and leaders is when you have personnel issues in amongst senior leadership, especially when you have conflict amongst members of your immediate team. That was really hard for me. I always think I'm an eternal optimist and I can influence outcomes. And I guess sometimes it just doesn't work. And so you have to address the issue sooner than later. And I think I'm a conflict avoider, but all I would say is that conflict, that dysfunction ripples through the entire organization. It ripples right down to your customers and your clients. And so if I could redo it, I would try to get it on the table immediately, and then make any tough decisions because vision's so important and your mission is so important and your values are so important, but then how people experience their work with you is your brand. And that's everything. It's your culture. Yeah. So just to get centered, to try to get centered every day, be in the word and uh, be in communication with the creator of the universe, right? Um, so that's one. And then habits, mindsets. Um, I think positivity is just huge. Being positive and always being future oriented. I think being in the future six to 9 months ahead of where the organization is so critical. And then being absolutely positive. Now, I say that at the same time, you want to be vulnerable as a leader, you want to be authentic, and and you do want to share when you have fear or there's problems. But I think the mindset of we're going to work this out and it's going to happen. I just think it's contagious. It's contagious. Yeah, so it's going to sound funny, but my first piece of advice is make sure to take care of yourself. And there's a saying that the greatest gift you can give to your team and your partners is self-awareness. And so it really does all because so much of your success in the business, um, with whatever product you're doing or whatever service you're doing, it's going to come back to how are you doing? So I'd say work on those spiritual disciplines, work on be emotionally intelligent, be physically disciplined, and then mentally, and then I'd say try to find a partner. Don't don't do it alone. If it's a financial partner, but a partner that you can share everything with, you can brainstorm, you can cry, rejoice, but try not to do it alone. I find so many leaders, they don't want to share when things are going bad. But I would encourage social entrepreneurs, leaders to not do that. And in business, it's so interesting that business should be and is the best community building enterprise there is because you need so many people for a flourishing ecosystem, right? And for people to have access to everything that they need, the knowledge, the networks, the markets, the technology, um, the capital, the relational. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Embrace God's calling. So I say that because, and so much I find I think this is true that your vision is almost always your calling. Remember that you're called and that you've got the creator of the universe as your first partner. And then, I had this mentor at his funeral. There's a older Baptist pastor who preached. I can't remember his name, but he said something that just really struck me. He says, man, and we're talking about human beings. He said, man is immortal until God's work on earth with him is done. And so, we're mortal, but he was saying, you're immortal. You're immortal on earth until God's work with you is finished. And then, of course, you're immortal for eternity, right? That gave me insight into how I can live my life. That you do those disciplines. You have to be a partner with God and do your part, but that you're part of God's plan, and nothing can touch you until God's finished his work with you, and how you finished your work for God. It's kind of like when Jesus said it is finished, right? So I would say, um, you can be bold, you can be confident, but you can also be, with that knowledge, you can be humble, um, all at the same time. And I would finally say business is ministry, and business, when it's especially when it's redemptive, it's the highest calling. It's the highest calling when it's God's calling. So that's my word to the everything else everything else they can find on their own, but just keep that. You know what I mean? There's information everywhere. There's information explosion. You don't even know what to look at. There's so much, but this is something that you're not going to read every day.